Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to the Sims 4 speedrunning video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building the world of Copperdale, which is the world that we got from the expansion pack of Sims 4 high school years, and I'm going to be building a small, realistic family home. So this house ends up having 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and it's built on a 20 by 15 lot. Now this week I was just really in the mood to sit down and build something kind of on the smaller side of things. I say smaller. It is a small house. It's built on a 20 by 15, you know, there's only so much I can do, but I just really fancy building something on the more manageable side, because I feel like a lot of the time I do really big builds, which, don't get me wrong, I love doing a big build, that's why I do so many of them, but I also really like playing myself in some smaller houses, and yeah, I just really fancy sitting down and building one, and so I really hope you guys like it. But anyway, moving on from that and getting on and talking a little bit more about the build itself and also what I'm doing right now. So currently the house is like semi-floating. Bear with, I'm going to drag it down in a second, because basically I wanted to build this house on this particular lot in Copperdale, because where I'm building, by the way, there is already a pre-made family when you enter a brand new save file, and I have already built on this particular lot before, but I just really like the lighting. I just feel like the way that the sunshine just hits on the house when you're building it, it's just so beautiful here. But I knew that I wanted there to be some sort of garage space, but the thing is, it's a 20 by 15. We ain't got much wiggle room. I could put a garage, but then I couldn't have a garden. And so I thought, well, why don't I do this thing, which I've done previously on this lot, which is place the garage, but on the bottom portion of the house, and then make it so it's got almost like a slope for a driveway. I do also end up placing down a little truck onto the driveway as well. The slope, you'll see it in a second, but it actually ends up being a roof piece, which your Sims can't actively walk over it, but where I end up placing down a truck onto the driveway in a way, your Sims wouldn't be able to move on that little area. But I mean, I feel like it looks really realistic, and I'm really happy the way it turned out. But yeah, with this way, with doing a garage, I then could still build on this 20 by 15 lot, but then I had more space for more activities in the basement. And so the way that I did it is, I was thinking for the Sims that could potentially live in this house, if you want to download it and you want to play in it, I was kind of thinking of a brief storyline. And the storyline that I was thinking of is this single mum lives here with her 2 daughters. Now I'm thinking this mum had her kids when she was quite young. I was thinking that maybe when she was like 16, 17 or something. I imagine she's still quite young herself, but I was thinking that she had her children, maybe she was in a previous relationship and she's left that relationship and they've moved to the world of Copperdale and they're trying to start a new life. I really liked the idea of maybe the mum used to being a waitress or something, but recently she decided that she wants to go back to school, and so she's now a part maybe like barista, but then also a university student. And so the way that I decorated the garage, I made it part garage, so you know there's some garagey bits and bobs down there, but then there is also a little computer desk for her to do all of her university work in. But then also in the garage there is a door which goes to one of the bedrooms, and that is the teenage daughter's bedroom. I will say I do feel a little bit bad, because the way that the teenage daughter has to use the bathroom, say in the middle of the night if she needs a wee or something, she will have to go up 2 flights of stairs to get to the bathroom, because the way the floor plan panned out, the only bathroom in this house is on the 3rd floor. It's where the other 2 bedrooms is, but I feel like it's kind of realistic in a way. Maybe when they first moved into this house, what is now the teenage daughter's bedroom used to be maybe like an extension of the garage, or maybe it was just like a bog standard basement or something, but they've now kind of made it into a teenager's bedroom. I ended up placing down almost like an exposed brick wall in there, and I tried to make it feel like it was in the basement. For the rest of the house, I placed down like radiators in every single room, but in the basement I was thinking probably ain't got central heating, and so I placed down like little heaters and stuff, and I don't know, it just made it feel a little bit more realistic to me. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now pretty much figured out the whole main shape of the house, and I'm currently coming in and placing down some live edit walls either side of this little sloped driveway. Now, the way that you actually create a house to have this almost like sloped driveway effect, it is really simple. It might look a little bit fiddly, but I promise you it's actually super simple to do. Basically what you do is you build your house, and then you know there's that little toggle in the middle of a house where you can pull things up on a foundation. If you put it the other way, so you push it down into the floor, then there's almost like a little bit of terrain that dips around it. Then with the garage space, you would have seen I placed down a few different floor tiles right in front of the garage. Basically, if ever you're working with terrain manipulation and you want a certain area to be completely flat, a good tip is to basically use some flooring, because the way that terrain manipulation works in the game, you can't have a bit of flooring on a slope. You know, say if you wanted to do a bit of a hill and you wanted to have a bit of flooring on it, you can't really do that. So it is a little bit tricky there. But when it comes around to making sure that you've got at least a solid bit of floor or like a completely flat surface, if ever you want to do something like this, I highly recommend placing down some floor in between where you want a slope to start. But yeah, I placed down some flooring basically just in front of the garage space, and then I had a nice little almost like hole in front of the garage. And then you would have seen I got this piece of roof. The one that I use is just like a normal triangular piece, and then I made it to be the certain size that I wanted it, and then I painted it to be almost like a concrete kind of colour, and then I just basically plopped it down in front of the garage, and then ever so slightly using terrain manipulation I then smoothed out the terrain so it was nice and smooth. And I mean, you could just leave it there, but it was kind of irritating me that you could ever so slightly see the bit of a dip. And so then what I started to do is I went into the live edit menu, I found a random just blank wall. The one that I've used is from I think the Sims 4 base game, but I found this wall, I sized it down ever so slightly, and then I moved it either side of where the roof piece was, so it's kind of like a nice little closed in area, if you're following my drift. And then on the other side of it, I then went around and basically filled in them other dips around the house with some live edit bushes. And yeah, I mean, I think it looks really good. I have done it before, like I said, but I feel like it looks somewhat realistic and it kind of like passes as some sort of sunken driveway in the game. But over here, as you can see, I'm currently coming in and placing down some live edit fences around the back garden. Now, I decided to make it so the back garden space was ever so slightly on a bit of a hill, only because you can see the staircase leading up to the front door. It's quite a long, like there's a few steps. I wouldn't want to walk up it after a night out. Like that's a lot of steps to walk up. But I didn't want the back garden to be the same, because the front driveway feels a little bit more, I don't want to say like put together, but it's a little bit more formal, and I didn't want the back garden to be like the same height. And so basically what I decided to do is I did a little bit of terrain manipulation, but then with terrain manipulation I knew that I didn't want to place down a regular fence to go around it, because sometimes when you have a bit of a hill in the game and you try and draw a fence, the fence will kind of like go around how you've drawn hills, and it goes up and down. It looks a bit skew-whiff, and sometimes in like particular builds in certain settings I like that. But yeah, I don't know, for this house I just didn't want to have an uppy downy fence, and so I thought if I use a live edit one, I can just basically use a tool mod, and then if I need to adjust it and move it down into the floor ever so slightly, I can do that. And so yeah, I just use a live edit fence and then it pieced together a bunch of them, and then ever so slightly push it down into the floor. And then you can see over here I just moved objects, a car off the lot in front of the driveway, and then also I rotated a truck so it looks like it's sitting on the drive. Now I must admit, when I initially placed down the truck, I was thinking maybe this mum has moved to this town and she's on the Cupid's Corner app, which is the new dating app that we got from the Love Truck expansion pack. Maybe she has snatched up a few dates, or maybe where she's a uni student, maybe she's found some classmates that she fancies or something, and so maybe she got a new boyfriend, and the truck in the driveway is her new boyfriend's, but the truck sitting out front of the house is maybe her car or maybe the daughter's car. But then as I went throughout the rest of the house, I was umming and ahhing whether I actually wanted or whether I imagined that this sim would have a boyfriend. In the end, I thought maybe it was her ex-partner's truck, and maybe they left town and just didn't give it back. But I do actually end up changing it to be a orange truck instead. But currently over here, as you can see, I'm just coming in and just basically trying to disguise the hill at the back of a lot and try and do some ever so slight adjustments to the terrain. I placed down some little like grass clumps, I placed down some muddy areas. I just tried to make it feel semi-realistic and seem like it was actually a part of the world, and I just tried to make it blend in, because I had this bit of a hill at the back and it was quite hard to make it blend in. But over here, as you can see, I've just started to incorporate one of my favourite areas of the back garden, which is this almost like paddling pool. Well, I mean, I say paddling pool, it's not actually a paddling pool, it's kind of like a above ground pool kind of thing. But if you have been watching my channel for some time, you have seen me do this several times in the past. I just love it, because the thing is, a lot of the time people don't really, unless you're like minted, you don't really have like proper swimming pools in your back garden. I feel like, especially in the UK, it's so common just to pop to like Argos or B&Q or something and just buy like a little freestanding pool, like a paddling pool or something, and use that throughout the summer. But ever since we got the curved pool update, I realised that I could actually do this, but now make it completely circular. Because before, when I've done this in previous builds, I've done it so it's like a diagonal kind of pool, like it's not completely curved, but I tried my luck at trying to make it look curved. Did you get what I mean? But this time I did something ever so slightly different, which was try and make it look like it had some sort of like branding on the pool. Now, like I said, I have done this before in the past, but I've never done it to have some sort of like sign to say like where the pool is from or something. But I was recently on Twitter and I actually saw someone post almost like a little short video, like a reel or something, or like a short of it, where they made a freestanding pool like this, but they added branding to the side of it, and I just thought that was so clever. The person that I saw this on, by the way, is called That One Green Leaf. I'll put their in on the screen right now, but they basically did the same thing of like creating like a little upstairs pool. You know what I mean, like an uppy pool. Not an uppy pool. You hopefully follow along with me. They created this kind of simpler thing, and instead of just leaving it like how I normally do, yeah, they just went through and they got these little signs and they placed it down, and it just looks so realistic, because realistically, wherever you buy your pool from, the brand of that pool would have some sort of like logo on the side of it. And so I got the idea from That One Green Leaf on Twitter, and then also in their little short that they posted, they sized down a water heater and then it popped it on one side of the pool. I thought that was so clever, because it looked like maybe that's where the water comes from, or maybe it's some sort of like blowy uppy machine. I don't know what they're called, but you get them with bouncy castles, you know, like a generator. That's the word that I was looking for. Some sort of like generator on the side of the pool, and it looks so cool, and I'm just so happy with it. But then I painted the watercolour to make it look like it's got all these dirty leaves and little twigs and just loads of muck that kind of accumulates in one of these pools over time. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. And then on one side of it, I placed down a little staircase, and that way your Sims can actually get in and out of that swimming pool. If you're curious, I've fully playtested it. It's fully functional. Your Sims can actually get inside of it. But yeah, it's just like a little freestanding pool for your Sims to have in their back garden spaces. But you can see as well, I placed down a little vent on one side, and then I tried to make it look like there was some almost like dead grass around it. Because I'm thinking realistically, if you do actually have one of these pools in your back garden over summer, over the course of a few different weeks, or maybe even going into months, over time, there's going to be a bit of grass that kind of like grows up alongside it, or maybe like weeds or something. And I also placed down some terrain that looked like it's meant to be mud, because I'm thinking it probably doesn't do the best thing for the grass. Maybe over time it kills the grass or something. And so yeah, I placed down some mud and some like little grass clumps and stuff. But as well as that, in the back garden, as you can see, I placed down some sun loungers. Also ended up placing down a little barbecue, a clothes hanging line, and then also some planters. Now I will say there is no seating area for the barbecue, which I was and ahhing whether I should include a barbecue or not. But then I was thinking, well, if I'm trying to build something to be as realistic as possible, sometimes in the UK it might be the most beautiful weather. It might be like sunshine all day, just really nice and hot, and so you think perfect time for a barbecue. And so you start cooking a barbecue, but honestly, the amount of times that I have started a barbecue and then it ends up chucking it down with rain, because the UK weather is so temperamental. Half the time I might start cooking a barbecue and then I end up eating it inside anyway, because I don't want to get wet. So maybe a similar thing happens in this household. Or I mean, if you really wanted to, your Sims could probably just sit on the edge of the sun lounges and eat their little barbecue food. But there is definitely space for you to add in like a little tiny seating area, but I just didn't want the back garden to be too squished together. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted there to be some wiggle room so your Sims can actually move about and stuff. But yeah, there is no outside seating area, but maybe this Sims family eat their barbecue food on the inside. But either way, as you can see, I am just pretty much finishing up the back garden. You would have seen as well, by the way, I completely spoke over it, but by the front door area, I tried to make it look like there was a little Ring doorbell. Now, I actually did this in one of my most recent builds. I built a British cul-de-sac, and on one of the houses, I made it so they had like a little Ring doorbell, because it's not even a British thing. I just feel like everyone's got a Ring doorbell nowadays. But you would have seen the way that I did it is I got a light switch, which is just a base game item, and I rotated it 180 degrees. I then went into the wall decoration category and just found some sort of like circular wall decoration that I could use the backing of. The one that I ended up using is from the Get Together expansion pack, and I basically rotated that again 180 degrees, sized them down, and basically moved objects them into each other, and it kind of looks like a Ring doorbell. I mean, it goes without saying, but it is unfortunately not functional. Your Sims can't actually ring the door with it, but it's just that little extra bit of realism. There is actually a mod out there, by the way, if you're curious. I've actually got it in my game. I do need to update it, must admit, but there is a mod by Lot51 where you can have a doorbell in your game. You can also have like alarm clocks as well. It's a really cool little mod, and actually also Wi-Fi. But honestly, the amount of times that I've put that into my game and my Sims move into a house and they have to go and call the Wi-Fi provider to come and get it fitted and stuff. But if you're someone that likes realism in your game and you're someone that plays with mods, I'd highly recommend checking out Lot51 because they have a lot of realism mods to try. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I have now moved on into the inside of the house, and I started off by the front entrance hallway, which also goes into the dining room. Sitting here, as you can see, I did my standard procedure of every single front door entrance, which is place down like a nice little mat for your Sims to wipe their feet on. I placed down a little coat rack, I placed down some shoes, a brolly rack. I really hope at one point in time, hopefully soon, we get a new coat rack in the game, because I'm not joking. I use that coat rack, I feel like, in every single one of my builds, but we've only got 2 base game coat racks in the game. We do have another 2 from, I think one is from Seasons and then one is from Cats and Dogs, but they're a bit big and bulky. I would just like another variation of a clothes rack, but I popped it down into the corner. And then over here, as you can see, I'm just currently coming in and clutching up this little side table. So over here, I did something which I have been doing recently in my builds, but I've been doing it in a bit of a different way. And that is, I like the idea of your Sims actually having framed photos on surfaces, because realistically, I feel like in everyone's house, you've at least got one photo frame, whether it be on your bedside table, your side table, your chest of drawers, just somewhere. I feel like it's so realistic to have little photo frames, but in the game currently, we've only got, I think, 4 different types of freestanding photo frames. We've got one of a pear, one of an apple, one of some butterflies, and then one of a football team. And sometimes I just want a random Sim to be on a photo frame in like a living room or a side entrance or something. And so what I've been doing recently is I've been placing down one of them base game, I think it's the apple photo frame that I use, and then I've been merging in pictures of feathers into it. But in this build I thought, or instead of placing down some feathers, because we've got some feather paintings from the Cats and Dogs expansion pack, instead of using them, I placed down a photo of what looks to be a Sim and make it look like it's on the photo frame. And so you would have seen the way that I did it. I sized down this base game portrait to be the same size as the photo frame, and then using the tool mod, I rotated it and basically merged it into the photo frame. And to me, I think it looks seamless, and it just looks like some random Sim is sitting, well, they're not actually sitting, their photo is sitting on this little side table. Maybe it's like their aunt or their nan or something, and it's just a nice little small realistic touch. But you're right over here, as you can see, I have now moved over into the kitchen. So in here, I decided to go for these base game counters and then match it with a base game fridge and then also a base game oven. And actually the microwave is also from base game, as well as the sink. I think in terms of like appliances in this kitchen, the only thing that is not from base game is the kettle, which the kettle is from the Forerunner expansion pack, which is like my favourite thing to place down into kitchens nowadays, because your Sims can actually make a cup of tea just from having a kettle in the game, which I can't believe it took so long to actually have a box standard kettle in the game. But I placed it down into the corner, and then I placed down some little mugs next to it, and then also some spices. But currently over here, as you can see, I am placing down some, what I'm trying to make look like fridge magnets onto the fridge. Now they're not actually fridge magnets, they're just some wall decorations that we got in the game. I placed down one that we got from the Horse Ranch expansion pack, which looks like a little freezer bunny, and then one that we got from, I think it's a Sims 4 base game object. We got it at some point in like a free update, but it's this tiny little bow. Basically what I did is I sized them down really small, and then I moved objects of them onto the fridge, and to me it kind of looks like a little fridge magnet. And then next to that, I placed down what I was imagining to be a post-it note of maybe like the mum's gone to work and she's left a note saying there's food in the fridge if you want to heat it up, or there's like a little grocery list as well stuck to the fridge. And then I also placed down a little drawing, which I was thinking it maybe the kid in this household did, and it's just been proudly displayed on the fridge. Honestly, it's the smallest little detail, but to me that is just, it's just so realistic, and it just feels so homey in a way. But as well as that, just off the kitchen, we have these 2 little rooms, and the first one I decided to make into almost like a utility room space. It's almost just like a bit of a walkway, but your Sims can do it. They're washing and put something in the tumble dryer. There is also a little like clothesline outside, like I said. So maybe in the summer months, the mum decides to save a little bit of money on the bills and decides to, hang out the clothes in the sunshine. Personally, whenever I get my Sims to have laundry in the game, which 9 times out of 10 I do because I'm someone that likes to play with realism, but whenever I do have my Sims to do laundry, I always like the idea of, in the summer months, save them pennies, use the sunshine outside to dry your Sims clothes. And so there is also a little washing line outside, but then you go through this archway and it goes into, honestly, a bit of a miscellaneous room. Didn't know what to do with it. I ended up placing down a Hoover or a vacuum, whatever. I call it a Hoover, but people call it a vacuum. It depends where you are in the world. But I placed down a little vacuum, and then I also placed down a litter box, because at this point in time I thought it might be quite nice if this household maybe has a cat. And so I placed down a litter box into that room, and then I revisited the kitchen and popped down a little food bowl. But now, as you can see, moving over, I've now started decorating the lounge room. Now, there was already a fireplace when I started decorating this room, and if you were curious what that was, when I was doing the floor plan for this house, I wanted to try and make it realistic, because realistically on the exterior there was a chimney, and so on the inside I wanted to try and follow that idea through and make it so there was some sort of like fireplace. And so there was a base game fireplace in this room, but I quickly swapped that out to be one that we got from the Growing Together expansion pack. But I actually sized it down ever so slightly because I love the look of this fireplace, but it's really tall, and I think personally sometimes when your Sims are sitting down on the sofa, it's going to hurt their neck, like bending their neck up trying to watch the TV. And so you would have seen I sized it down ever so slightly to make it into a bit of a more reasonable height to watch the telly. But then in here for the sofas, I decided to use ones that we got from the Dream Home Decorator game pack. Now, previously, I never really used these sofas because the ones that we got from Dream Home Decorator, they're meant to be sectional, so you can kind of make them as big or as little as you want, and the idea is amazing. But I must admit, previously, I wasn't a massive fan of them because they didn't look particularly comfortable, because you can see that we're now coming in and moving in some loads of different like cushions and pillows onto the sofas to make it look a little bit more comfy and a little bit more homey. But only recently we actually got a pillow update, which sounds really strange, but we got pillows added to the Sims 4 base game. And so before that, I just found that whenever I placed down these sofas, they just looked very almost like cold. And also, I've said this before, but I'm not a massive fan of the wood swatches that we got from Dream Home Decorator. They're all right, but they're not my personal cup of tea, and so I find that I don't regularly tend to use them. But when I was decorating this lounge room, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give them a go. And I'm really happy that I decided to go for it, because once I merged in all these different pillows, it just made it feel like this was just like a realistic sofa that a lot of people have in their house. And so I decided to use a mixture of 2 different pillows and then also a little ottoman. The pillows that have some sort of design on them, they are from the Modern Luxe kit, and then the plain blue pillows, they are a new base game item. And then I merged in a little tiny ottoman that we got from Snowy Escape. It's actually a stool that your Sim's meant to sit on, but I like rotating it and looking at making it look like some sort of cushion. And so that is what I did. And then currently over here, as you can see, I'm trying to make it look like this household have a home phone. Again, this is the smallest little detail, but to me, honestly, this made me so happy, because the thing is, I am still a household. We still have a home phone. Don't know why, honestly, no one ever calls it, but growing up, I've always had a home phone. And when I was younger, I didn't have a mobile phone. I feel like I'm showing my age here, but when I was younger, I didn't have a mobile phone. And so I always used to call my friends or ask my friends to call me at a certain time on the home phone. And when I was decorating that little side table next to one of the sofas, I was thinking, well, what realistically do you have on your side table? I was thinking about mine downstairs. I was thinking, well, I've got one of my own phones. And so I was like, okay, well, I know that we've got this one phone decoration. We got it from, I think it's the Get to Work expansion pack off memory, but I know that we have it in the debug category. And so I pulled it out, and then I was thinking, okay, well, I can rotate this and that looks lovely, but I want there to be some sort of like little holder to almost charge the home phone on. And so then I found this debug remote, flipped it 180 degrees, because initially it had all these different like colours of buttons and stuff, and I didn't want that. I just wanted like the plain black slab, if you want to put it that way. But I rotated it 180 degrees, and then I plopped on this little home phone that I rotated, and to me that looks like someone's home phone in a holder. It's a smallest little detail, like I said, but it just made me so happy. But then, as well as that, in that room, I placed down a little telly. I then also placed down a little cat scratching post, and then also I popped a little radiator in the corner. But now moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs portion of this build and started coming in and decorating the bathroom. Now, like I said, there is only one bathroom in this house, but in here I was able to fit a toilet, a sink, and then also a shower and bath combo. So your Sims have the option to either have a nice cold shower, or maybe after a long day at work or university, the mum wants to have like a lovely bubble bath or something. But in here I did something on the little sink unit, which honestly just made me so happy, because again, it's just so realistic to me, and I don't know if you're going to be able to relate, but you would have seen I placed down an individual toothbrush onto one side of the sink. And I was thinking, when I was younger, bless her, my mum used to put the toothpaste on my toothbrush of an evening ready for me to clean my teeth before I went to bed. I was thinking maybe the mum in this household does that for her little girl, and that little blue toothbrush on the side is the kid's toothbrush, and it's sitting there waiting to be used of a night time. Again, it's a small and kind of silly detail, but I don't know, I just really liked it. But then also on the little sink unit, I placed down some soap, I placed down some like brushes and stuff. I then also placed down some toilet rolls by the side of the toilet, and then in the actual bathtub area I placed down a little shower caddy. But now moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into one of the first bedrooms, which is the little girl's bedroom. So in here, the way that I decorate this room, I feel like it's a little bit of an older kids room, but I imagine the kids to still be maybe like 11, 12 years old. Typically whenever I decorate kids rooms in the game, I'm thinking that they're like, I don't know, 8 or something, and so I'll probably go down like the proper kiddie route. But for this one, it ends up being a little bit more mature. I say mature, don't get me wrong, there's still toys and there's still like random crayons dotted about, but the way that I decorate it, it almost makes me feel like maybe the furniture pieces in here was this little girl's older sister, and maybe when her sister grew up it was kind of like hand-me-down furniture, and so maybe the reason why she has some slightly more older looking pieces is just because they used to be her sisters, and you know, it's realistic when you grow up, if you've got siblings, to get like hand-me-downs or something. But in here I decided to go for this bed that we got from the High School Years expansion pack in this beautiful like greeny blue swatch. I don't think I really ever seem to use this particular bed colour. I was debating between this one and a blue checkered one, and you might have seen I debated for a bit. I ended up settling on this one, but in here as well I ended up placing down a little chest of drawers. The one that I've used is from the Parenthood game pack. I'm pretty sure I debated with the swatch of the chest of drawers for a bit as well, because there is one swatch of this chest of drawers which is like almost like a cherry blossom on the drawers. It's beautiful, but I think in the end I end up settling on the white one, but then potentially also the grey one. I don't know, I had a bit of a mare when I was trying to figure out the swatches in this room. But as well as that, next to it I placed down at this bookcase which we got from the Discovery University expansion pack, and you might notice there's a little bit of a gap between the wall and then where the bookcase starts, and typically that would kind of annoy me, because normally when I like to build, I like everything to be right up against the wall, you know, it's nice and just it's put away and it's in its place. But I was thinking realistically, sometimes you might have furniture pieces that don't run perfectly up alongside a wall, and so you'll see I placed on the bookcase, but then on one side of it I was thinking, well, why don't I place down just some like random knickknacks, random stuff that is just kind of shoved down the end of the bed or something. And so I ended up placing down a pile of books. The one that I've used is from the Book Nook kit. I just kind of like stacked two piles on top of each other. Maybe it's like school books or something, you know, when you go to school you have like your science book, your maths book, your English book. Maybe they're all kind of like shoved down the side of the bed or something. And then on the actual chest of drawers unit I placed down like a nice little Penguin TV. I placed down a little lunchbox, a little robot thing. The robot thing your Sims can actually make if you've got the Parenthood game pack. Sometimes kids will come back from school with like a school project to do, and depending on how quickly they do it, they get rewarded some like extra performance. And so I placed down a little robot on top of the chest of drawers. And then also in this room as well, there ends up being a little computer desk area. I didn't place down an actual laptop or a computer. I placed down my version of like a Sims iPad. It's just like a tablet. We got it from the Pastel Pop kit. It works the exact same as like a regular computer or a laptop in the game, but it doesn't look like one. And I feel like for kids' rooms, it's really handy. But yeah, I placed that down on the computer desk. And then something that you might have noticed, on the actual bed itself, I placed down 2 cushions and then 2 teddy bears. I placed down a cushion that we got from the little campus kit, and then next to it I merged in a base game cushion. And then I got this new penguin item that we got from the Love Struck expansion pack, which I just think is so perfect for kids' bedrooms. But I merged it in at the end of the bed, and then you would have seen as well I placed down a little individual teddy bear. The teddy bear, if you're curious, it is a Parenthood debug item. You know, sometimes you've got that animation in the game where kids can like nurse a teddy bear or a baby. I basically just found the debug teddy bear from the Parent game pack and then just rotated it and popped it onto the bed. And if you're curious, it still works, it's fully functional. Your Sims can still go to sleep. But now moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the mum's bedroom. So in here, I decided to go for a base game bed, and then for the curtains, I decided to use the same ones that I did downstairs. They're the ones that we got from the Seasons expansion pack. Honestly, when I was doing this build, I realised I feel like I need to up my curtain game because I always use these same curtains in pretty much every single build, but I always use them in the blank bog standard like plain white ones. But for this build, I just wanted to be a little bit different and use them in a different swatch. But in here as well, as you can see, I placed down a wardrobe in the corner. The wardrobe that I've used is from the kids room stuff pack, and then also on the bedside table I placed down a little fossil, and it looks to be of like a hand on the actual fossil itself. I was thinking, sometimes when you have like a newborn baby or something, and you can go and get almost like their feet or their hands imprinted into something, you can kind of use it as some sort of like memory of that time period in your life. I was thinking that fossil was exactly that. Maybe it was the older daughters. Maybe when the older daughter was little, she had her hand imprinted into some sort of like little memory stone, and the mum just still has it on her bedside table. But now moving over, as you can see, I've actually now moved on downstairs into the basement, and I'm currently coming in and decorating the makeshift office, which is also kind of like the garage. Now, something that I love about having garage spaces in my builds in the game is I feel like depending on what kind of household you've got, you can always just like shape this about and just change it however you want it to be, because a garage or like a miscellaneous room is basically that. It's a miscellaneous room. You can basically do whatever you want with it. But where I was thinking that maybe the mum was a part barista, part university student, maybe this is where she does the majority of her studies. Maybe she doesn't actually go to university. Maybe she does like an online university or like an online course or something. But in here, I placed down at this base game desk, and I placed down quite an older looking computer. I was thinking, by the way, and hopefully you kind of caught the drift, but the way that I decorated this house, I was thinking that this family probably doesn't have the most money. They've got enough money to be able to get by. They can pay their bills, they can pay their mortgage and stuff, but they can't just go out and buy a new car, or like if their tyre pops, they're kind of, in it kind of thing. Like I don't imagine that they've got lots of spare cash, and so yeah, maybe it's a really old computer that has maybe been handed down through a few years, a few different people. But I also placed down a little shelving unit in there. I placed down a heater because where I was thinking this is the garage, probably ain't got central heating, and so I placed down like a little electric heater. And then also the Seasons decoration box, so when it comes to Winterfest or maybe like Love Day or Easter or something in your game, you can decorate the outside of the Sims house by just rummaging through that little box. But anyway, moving over, as you can see, I have now moved on into the last room in this whole entire house, which is the teenager's bedroom. Now, straight away off the bat, I knew that I was going to be using this brand new bed in this teenager's bedroom, which, if you're unfamiliar with this bed, we've just got it from the Love Struck expansion pack, and it is just so cool because it doesn't look great, but that's why I love it. It is this bed that looks like one side of it, the fitted sheet has like come undone. You can kind of see the exposed mattress, and the actual bed itself isn't on a bed frame. But I wanted to use this bed more so for the colours of the duvet. Now there is some plain, I think like a blue, potentially like a purple and a black duvet swatch. I can't remember off memory. I know that it's definitely a blue swatch, but there is some plain swatches of this duvet cover. But then there is also, I think, 3 different options of this beautiful, what looks to be some sort of tiger. It is just so cool, and I love it so much. And so I decided that I was going to have to use it in this room, and I kind of did the colour scheme for the wallpaper almost around this bed when I was doing it off camera because I knew that I wanted to use it so much. The only one downside that I don't like about this bed is it's currently one of the pre-order bonus things that we got if you get the Love Struck expansion pack within a certain amount of time, which I've spoken about this before. I'm not a massive fan when the Sims team do this, when there are certain objects tied to a certain time frame, because sometimes people can't buy a pack straight away, but I just wanted to use it, and so forgive me that I use it in this one build, but I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's just so cool. But I merged it into a sofa because although I love the look of it not having a bed frame, I kind of like the look of it maybe being a pull-out bed on a little sofa bed or something. And so, yeah, you would have seen I merged it into a little love seat that we got from the High School Years expansion pack. And again, if you're curious, it's fully functional. I've playtested this whole entire house, and so if you do want to download it, you shouldn't run into any problems. But other than that, I'm going to go around the room, finish it off with some final touches, and that is pretty much it. So anyway, guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. As always, you can download this build via the gallery. My gallery ID is Jessica Pye YT, or just search for the hashtag Jessica Pye YT or just the hashtag Jessica Pye. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedrunning video. Bye guys.